All right, what up YouTube? It's your boy Vesty Vest. I'm back at it again, and today I'm here with Ayush. And Ayush, we go way back, don't we? Today I want to chop it up with Ayush, to catch up with him, see where he is in his career, in life. So yeah, you'll see. So Ayush, how you been?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic. I forget, what year did we even graduate? I know I graduated from Case, with a master's around 2018.
Yeah.
What year did you graduate with your master's?
I graduated a year later, 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you study at Case?
Yeah, so at Case, I came in initially with the plan of studying more on the, science side and more specifically like biomedicine stuff.
Yeah.
But I think within the first few weeks, I signed up for a CS course. So I knew I didn't want to do that at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So by the end of the first year, I decided to switch into math and computer science.
Math and computer science.
So that's what I studied.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you came in with, did you have any interest in studying BME? Because a lot of people I know who came into Case wanted to study BME and maybe go into medicine afterwards, right?
Right.
Was that the same for you?
I think for me, it was actually, I knew I wanted to do engineering, but the reason I guess I chose BME at Case was because I was BME is good there,
Yes,
there's you have world leading,
renowned.
world renowned in BME, and so I was like, all right, let me jump on the bandwagon. Yeah, and but it was good because I didn't take any classes in it.
Yeah.
But I knew I was more I guess I got more interested in the math and CS stuff because I don't know, the first few classes I took in it, led me towards that direction. So,
I see.
yeah.
I see. And then so you came in and I think you did major in you did a double major in right,
yeah.
mathematics and CS, right?
CS, yeah.
How was that? Because imagine 1 degree is hard enough, but 2 degrees, how did that go for you?
Yeah, so actually at Case, what the scenario was that math and CS had a lot of overlap.
Okay.
And specific areas of CS, in particular the statistics track of CS or the AI track of CS, had a lot of the coursework overlapping with the math department.
Oh, okay.
So math department professors would actually teach those courses. And so you can get if you chose the concentration correctly, you would only have to take a couple extra more classes to actually get the math degree in there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa. So it seemed to me like you figured out college before you even came. If you know what classes, the overlaps and all these ideas.
Yeah, so actually, first year it was just the basic, I guess the coursework you would take. The only I guess extra coursework, or the one that I knew I wanted to take or try to attempt at least, was the introduction to CS classes, which was I think it was called Introduction to Java.
Introduction to Java,
which was taught by Conemacher.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him later, but yeah. That's what kind of pushed me towards that route. And then I'd always had an interest in mathematics from before.
Yeah.
So even if I were to do the BME route, I would have taken a lot of math courses. I think what helped was that I had known someone from, I guess someone who had gone to Case from my high school previously.
Okay.
And he didn't study math or anything, but I know his friends had, and they had recommended that you actually take some of the math courses because the math department was actually fairly decent. So that's kind of, I guess I had some direction.
I see.
Yeah.
I think that was probably going to be the next segue for me.
Yeah.
Because Case isn't really a popular school, right? So I know coming from Jersey.
Jersey.
How did you know about Case?
Yeah. So basically, I had to be honest, I didn't really think I wasn't going to even apply to Case.
Yeah.
When I was going through my college application process.
Yeah.
But the only reason I applied because it was early. I think it was early action or one of those things.
Okay.
And the application was free.
Oh. Okay.
And they had no essay to write, so it was literally you just click a few buttons on the Common App.
Yeah.
And you hit submit.
I see.
It was literally the easiest application for me.
Wow.
And so, and I didn't know how good the school was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
What I had only known was that, you know, someone from like, you know, that I knew went to that school.
Right.
But we never kept in touch after high school.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't really like, how do I say it? I only knew he went to Case like through like, you know, the updates you get on social media and stuff, but I didn't ask him like how Case was or any of that
Okay.
until I'd gotten actually into Case. Like that's the first time I actually asked him like how was Case as like a thing, and like,
Oh, so he was still at Case when you came?
yeah, he was still at Case.
Okay.
Yeah, not when I was applying.
Okay.
Yeah, but then when I'd gotten in,
Uh-huh.
I think he was either junior. No, not a junior. He was a senior that year, and so when I would have joined, he would have already graduated.
I
and
see.
stuff, yeah.
I see. So I mean, you didn't even come to campus to visit before you came. You
No,
just,
I
like,
didn't even visit
straight
campus.
up came.
I literally applied.
Yeah.
I heard back. To be honest, like I think like the rest of us, we were waiting to hear back from the other schools.
Yeah.
I got into a couple other schools, but like the only reason I chose Case was they gave me like
A huge scholarship.
a huge scholarship to
Okay.
come there. It was like basically if I went to Rutgers, like which was the state university, it would have been the same price. So I was
Oh,
like,
I see.
yeah.
So you chose the private route.
yeah, I chose a private.
I see, man. I mean, so Case, I mean, as you came in there, you saw campus, man. How was it for you, man? Did you like the environment, or was it kind of like, oh man, what have I got myself into, man? This is in the middle of probably nowhere, or
Yeah,
in the hood, or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
But yeah, man, speak on that.
Yeah, you know, when I first joined, I was like kind of, I don't want to say down on myself, but I felt like, you know, I don't know, maybe this was my ego or something.
Yeah.
But I was like, damn, I could have done better when I'd first like gone to Case.
Yeah.
Like, and so, but I think by the end of the first year, I'd actually grown to like it. So when I first arrived, I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, okay, honestly, I was thinking I would maybe spend a year here or 2 years and then transfer out. Try to think about
Oh,
transferring
I see.
out.
Yeah.
If I do like well enough in my classes and
Okay.
stuff. But yeah, I actually like by the end of the first year, I guess it had grown on me.
I see.
And also the side part is that my grades were not good enough to even transfer out, so that shit died very quickly.
Freshman year was actually tough, man. I'm
Freshman
not
year
gonna
was
lie,
tough.
man. Freshman year is tough for everyone, man. Well, I mean, maybe not everyone, but it was definitely tough for me, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did come to Case, man. How was besides the coming to campus, actually seeing what the environment was like? What about the academics, man? How do you rate the academics amongst the top tier schools around the world, man?
Yeah.
Your Stanfords, your Yales, Princetons, and Harvards, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I can speak like truly to this answer because I've never I've never studied at those universities.
Okay.
But to be honest, like I would say I had a fairly decent education at Case. Like a lot of the things I've learned there, I use day to day. Like it's applied quite well to, I guess, the career trajectory I've taken.
Okay.
Some classes were interesting. Some professors were good. But I think you'll find that in at any school you go to, right? Like,
Yeah.
you'll always have the good professors. You'll always have the mediocre professors. You'll always
Okay.
have the poor professors. Yeah.
I guess another way to
Yeah.
to rate it, you did mention that you haven't been to an Ivy, so you wouldn't quite
I can't compare.
you don't stand in a position
Yeah.
to rate. I mean, have you worked with anyone from an Ivy?
Oh yeah.
And maybe how did your effort stack up against maybe such a person? I mean, that could be one way to rate it, right? So
that's a good point. Yeah. So I have worked with a couple people who have went to, I guess you could say, like top tier universities, like especially in like the computer science realm,
Yeah.
like MIT,
Yeah.
CMU,
Mhm.
Berkeley, stuff.
Stanford, yeah.
Stanford, yeah. And I would say, to be honest, when it comes time to like, I guess when you're on the job, because I've had internships with people who had, went to these universities, like in the same internship programs and stuff.
yeah.
I would say it's quite comparable, in the sense that like, I was able to keep up with the conversations. I didn't feel like I was like what the hell are these people talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in terms of like contribution and stuff, those all those people were fairly nice. So even if I didn't understand anything, you know, they were able to explain it to me, and I was able to understand it. So I would say fairly comparable. Like, I don't think the education is all that different among these universities. I think what separates them, maybe why they're more highly ranked, is because their research programs are very tailored towards those specific concentrations.
I see.
At Case, when you look at the CS department, they had research there, but they weren't the ones coming up with, like, you know, the new big inventions in computer science and stuff. Right, those were coming from like the MITs,
Yes.
the CMU people,
Yes.
the Stanford folks.
I see.
But in terms of, like, you know, understanding that knowledge, I would say Case was able to get the core foundation.
I see.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are, you know, I would imagine that contributes a great deal to the rankings, right?
Yes. The research rankings are very, very highly weighed upon in terms of the school rankings.
I see. I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's maybe talk a bit about the academics.
Yeah.
Right. What was your favorite course? Who was your favorite professor? Maybe you can, you know, talk briefly about that.
Yes. I don't know if I had a favorite professor, but I had at least from the CS department.
Yeah.
I had two very good professors. One was Dr. Konemacher, which is the first course I took. Okay. That got me interested into computer science, and then the second course was actually with Dr. Mehmet Koyuturk. He was more focused on the the computational systems biology side of things. So those two professors were, I think, like, very good in terms of, like, I don't know, like, I guess the best way I could describe it would be they cared.
They cared. Okay.
They cared. That's like if I were to put it succinctly, those are the two words I would use. They actually cared about their students, you know, trying to understand, like, the core foundation. They placed an emphasis on the grades as a result of, you know, just trying to show that you're making progress. But at the end of the day, if you were able to show that you were trying and you made an effort to understand the material, they were willing to help you. Certain other professors would just be like, you know, just sort of like, they wouldn't really put effort into their college courses, like to explain like concepts. They would just be like, okay, here are these slides, blah blah blah, look at this, do your homework, blah blah blah. But yeah, I would those two stand out.
I see. And so, I mean, you did decide to study your master's at Case as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure by the time you finished your bachelor's, your grades had improved, you know, maybe significantly enough that if you wanted to go to a different school, you know, that wouldn't have been too much of a hassle.
Right.
So why did you decide to stay at Case to do your master's as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a lot of the courses I had taken in undergrad. They were already, like, you know, how do I say it? They were already the graduate level courses. And so Case had what I liked about Case is that if you had taken a graduate level course, you could count that graduate level course towards your undergrad credit and also towards your graduate, master's program. And so I think it was convenient for me in the sense that I had already, you know, taken a lot of the upper level courses. Yeah. And to be honest, like I said before, I don't think the classes between going to, like, CMU versus going to Stanford or studying those same things at Case was, like, the content was fairly similar if you knew what concentration you would be in. Yeah. I think what would have been the differentiating factor if I decided to go to master's at another university after would have just been the research. Oh, okay. But I guess my situation might have been a little bit different because I think starting my second year at Case, I had been working at, like, a research lab anyways, and I'd already gotten a publication by the time I was senior year. Wow. So I felt like I felt like I would have been a waste of money and maybe even a waste of time, to be honest. Yeah. To try to apply somewhere else and try to go somewhere else for 2 years. Who knows if it would have been a better experience? I don't know, but I guess it stems from the fact that it was convenient for me. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's talk maybe perhaps briefly about your research.
Yeah.
What did you work on for your research?
Yeah. So my research actually came out of. So I had been trying to apply for internships since my freshman year. But mostly computer science, I guess, or math-based internships.
Right.
But I wanted it to be focused on. Maybe this is a good thing, maybe this is a bad thing, but I had a very singular focus on like biotech.
Biotech. Okay.
Yeah, like computational biology
Okay.
internships. But obviously I didn't have any of that experience by the end of the first year.
Yes, sir.
So I applied to a lot of places. I got rejected from all of them. I think, yeah, whatever. And so like sort of last minute, I decided to, for the summer, I just didn't want to go back home and do nothing.
Yeah.
So I had contacted a couple professors, and basically anything relevant to like statistics, like, and so I decided to stay that summer working at a lab that did like computational imaging research, for like, you know, brain tumors and stuff. Basically trying to detect brain tumors from like medical imaging scans.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so I think, yeah, that's how I first got interested in research. It was just a way for me to like keep my mind like, you know, busy and
I
not
see.
just,
I guess, was there any AI, you know, models maybe involved in that kind of research?
Yeah.
With that cancer detection and, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that?
Yeah, so I think it's important to talk a little bit about the history of AI, because by the time I had started to, you know, like, it was summer of 2016 is what I remember. It had been a couple years since like the first sort of academic papers came out about like superior performance of like, you know, AI beating people at like image classification tasks, at NLP tasks, et cetera, et cetera. And so that lab had just kind of started to like, what they were previously focused on were more like, you know, conventional machine learning, I would say.
Okay.
Meaning they were focused on like pattern matching, like conventional statistics.
Right.
But I think I got sort of lucky because the postdoc I was working under, she had come from a different university, and her research was focused on like applying these more contemporary techniques.
Right.
And I was placed to work with her. Basically, my job wasn't even to do any of the real AI. My job was more on the software engineering part, like, you know, actually programming the thing. I didn't really touch any of the AI until like later on. But I think it got me interested in like learning about like, you know, how that stuff works, and, you know, like the deep mathematical like underpinnings and roots, and, you know, that sort of thing. And that sort of helped guide me in my like directions for like the courses I wanted to take for like the coming, like, you know, second year, third year, so on and so forth. Yeah.
I see. That's interesting, man. All right, so man, you go to Case, you know, you like the academic program.
Yeah.
Was there any social life at Case that you liked?
Yeah, I mean, so Case had a social life. To be honest, I wasn't really involved in the social life. I mean, I went to a couple like, you know, parties and get-together with your boy right here.
Right.
Yeah. But like, it wasn't like, you know, like hard. I didn't at least go hardcore like partying at Case. I was more like, okay, you know, I'd have fun, you know, occasionally, you know, go out to a couple house parties. I think the social scene more for me was having someone to connect to and talk to, I guess, like things I was interested in.
Oh, okay.
So like, for example, like Sylvester and I, we had a lot of late nights together during my time there. We talked about lots of different things, be that academic, be that, you know, doing stupid shit. But
yes, sir.
but like it was a good like mental support, not only because he had been at Case for a lot longer than I had, so he knew like I guess the how to work around inner workings of case. But like, I don't know. Yeah, it was just more for like, I guess like, yeah, support. I don't know how to say it, but like.
I see, man.
Yeah.
Maybe we had those weekend movie nights, man.
We had the week.
Feel me?
we had the every Friday movie night.
Every Friday movie nights,
Yeah.
man. Those were dope, man.
Those were
I
dope,
ain't-
yeah.
I'm not gonna front. Those were dope, man. All right, bro. So you graduate from Case, man.
Yeah.
Can you maybe even talk a bit about what your first gig was like, how you got it, what the interview process was like, and we can take it from there.
Yeah. So I think I knew basically after my junior year, I had done a couple of internships. One in Boston at like a very small healthcare startup, and then one in San Francisco, like Palo Alto, at like a health technology, again a digital health startup. The first one was more like on the software engineering side of things, but I knew I'd wanted to do like more the research end, because I guess the research I was doing at Case was directly relevant to the second internship I was I had gotten hired for.
Yeah.
So I knew I kind of wanted to go that route.
Okay.
So a lot of my peers were looking for like purely software engineering jobs when they were applying their senior year of school.
Okay.
I think I was trying to focus more on like the research engineering end, like, and more specifically geared towards like AI and stuff, ML.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even apply for any of the software engineering jobs. I was like, again, I don't know, maybe I was being like too optimistic or
Yeah.
But I had to apply just basically for purely machine learning.
Wow.
And so I didn't really even apply to any of the big tech firms like Google or whatever, Apple, right? Because it would be hard without like, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't have, but like, anyway, so I applied to mostly startups and I guess some mid-sized companies between September and December of my senior year.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the interview process for new grads for those, if I were to like sum it, it's very similar to the software engineering internships, or not software engineering, software engineering interviews.
Right.
But the flavor was more, I guess, science oriented. So like, for example, how the software engineering, I guess, interview process works is that, you apply on the website, whatever, you hear back from a recruiter and you go through like these technical phone interview screens where they give you like a lead code style problem. Basically it's like, they give you a question to solve and you're supposed to like implement some code to do that like correctly and then quickly, so on and so forth. And then if you were to pass that, you would go on to like the full round, and the full round would be like a day-long interview, five to 6 hours, with different members of the team that you were applying for. And in the software engineering interview, it would just be focused on, hey, can you do like a coding problem? Can you do a system design problem? Can you do like, there was a behavioral component to it, those types of flavors. In the machine learning interviews, they had a machine learning system design one, which is more focused on, hey, we have a sample business use case, and we have data to, that we have gathered for this problem. Can you design like using any type of machine learning? How would you design the system to, I guess, predict for new data that's coming in, whether, basically, can you predict what would happen in the future for whatever, I guess, product that they were building, for the business use case that we're building. And the other one was more on, like, we had one dedicated on just pure statistics and just pure theoretical, like, mathematics. Like, if you understood, like, why certain optimizations were done the way they were, do you understand, like, mathematical theory for that? Do you understand optimization? And the reason for those interviews were, if you have a solid face-bound like foundation, you can always build on top of that. And for research engineering roles, that's what they care about. Like if you understand the theory and you're able to apply that theory to like solve a sample business use case.
I see.
So it was a little bit different, similar style, but like the scope was different. If I were to explain it, yeah.
And I mean, did you enjoy that gig?
Yeah. So actually, I didn't even get to talking about that gig. I don't know if you were gonna ask me later, but yeah, I enjoyed that gig. It was at a startup, so it was kind of hectic. We were only about like 40 or 50 people, I guess, at the time, and I was on a team that was doing, I guess, creating machine learning software for basically, if I were to explain it very simply, like drug discovery, essentially.
Drug discovery.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I liked that job. I think the hours were quite long.
Oh.
So like I would go, early morning, like 8 to like 7. I would come back 7:30, 8. So it was like 10-hour days, pretty much.
Wow.
10 to 12-hour days. Yeah, it was quite long, but I actually enjoyed it because I learned a lot that you don't actually learn while you're at school.
I see.
Like,
I see.
and what I mean specifically is, in school, you're sort of given a sample problem, and you sort of already, there's a known solution to that problem already. Like, that's why the professor gave that problem to you, because he knows the solution to it. In industry, a lot of the problems are some product people are just thinking about, hey, this would be a nice feature to have. Your goal as a machine learning engineer or like a data scientist or whatever in industry is, the hardest part is not actually doing the machine learning. It's trying to map that business problem into a machine learning problem. And that mapping is, in fact, probably the hardest part in industry. And so that's what I really took away from that first job.
Okay.
Yeah, like how to really apply your skills, to like a completely, like to a problem that you may have never encountered before.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Wow. I mean, that almost kind of sounds like some of the courses that some of our friends took, like applied physics.
Yeah.
And I mean that intersection of physics and engineering type, type of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, so after that job, I mean, how long did you stay there? And now, like, what was your next gig?
Yeah. So after that, I was there for what, like 3 years or so?
Yeah.
3.5 years, I think, up until 2023, basically. Mid 2023.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I think I was looking for a new gig because I had sort of like, I had gotten accustomed to the job. I kind of knew like, what was like, I didn't see myself really growing at that job that much anymore. And so I was looking primarily for actually something similar related to what I was doing, and by similar, I mean like AI similar, not necessarily like the like, like drug discovery or anything like that.
Okay.
And so I think I just needed something new to focus on, to like kind of reset and stuff. And so I was, I guess I'd applied to, this time I had actually gone ahead and applied to, big size companies, small size companies, big tech and stuff. I didn't really hear back from the big tech.
Yeah.
And I think the reason is because I was so focused on like, my internships were all in like digital health startups. My first job was in a digital health startup. So I might have pigeonholed myself into that industry.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really hear back from any of the big tech firms because obviously their scope and their focus is on, building customer-centric features, not like, business, B2B like products and stuff, right? And so I didn't really hear back from the big tech firms, even though I applied for the AI ML positions. And so, yeah, I heard back from, a couple banks and stuff, and, I'd applied. I was living in New York, so I'd gotten a job at JP Morgan, and I guess, decided to take it. Yeah.
I see, man. I mean, now I guess your migration, or even I wouldn't even say migrate, but your transition into J.P. Morgan was quite interesting. Yeah, because you got into J.P. Morgan, and I mean, you got in there as a VP,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not every day you see someone with 3-year experience get into J.P. Morgan with as a VP, right? So how did you maneuver that? I mean, because that seems simple, but I mean, I've worked at J.P. Morgan Chase before myself, and I know the politics involved. You know, once you get hired, how to kind of like get your way, or maybe even promotion and make your way higher up, man. But you came in there like a boss, man.
Yeah.
Like how did that happen, yo?
Yeah, so actually, I think I got very lucky because usually people would like, you usually need 5 to like 7 years before like they put you into the VP position. But actually, the manager that hired me, she had known my previous manager, not at the startup I had joined right after college, but at one of the internships I had done.
Oh.
So in that other internship, I had worked on recommendation systems.
Right.
And it was out here in California, in the Bay Area, and basically the CTO who led that had previously led like the Netflix core algorithms team, who built like the Netflix algorithm and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of his colleagues at the time was the manager that like
You worked on.
yeah, like they knew each other. And
Wow.
so how I even heard about this gig, because like was, I guess they were looking for someone to hire at that level.
Yeah.
And I noticed I had a mutual connection. I looked up the manager's name.
Yeah.
And I noticed I had a mutual connection with my previous boss.
Oh wow.
And so I asked my boss if he would, like my old boss, if he would introduce me, or like, at least connect us together.
Yeah.
And he was very, very willing to do that, and very happy to do that for me, which I'm really thankful for. And yeah, so we were just talking about like what the team is doing and stuff, and I guess my old manager had sort of vouched for me.
Yeah.
And so they were comfortable with me, like, applying for the VP position. And then obviously I still had to go through those, like the interview process.
Yeah.
But like, I think like 80% of it was coming from my old manager.
Wow, man.
So again, I got really lucky.
Talk about maneuvering, man. Like that's a masterclass, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. But I like how you did it, man.
Yeah.
I like how you did it, bro. So now what exactly do you do at Chase, and maybe even elaborate briefly, man?
Yeah, so at Chase I work on a recommendation systems team. Basically, we work on the Chase mobile app to recommend like products that you might use, like like if you ever go on the Chase app, you might see like certain offers that are relevant to you based on like your past history, what you've interacted with, where you've purchased and stuff.
Yeah.
And based on like that, like for example, we form basically like a user, how do I say it? User representation.
User representation. Okay.
And what I mean by that user representation is like, you take a look at your spending patterns and stuff. Like for example, if you like to travel a lot and you booked a lot through Chase, we might see that you stay out in hotels and stuff, or you book an Airbnb. You're like going to different places, and so you would be sort of put in like the travel category, and you would get offers and recommendations for that.
Okay.
So that's like one of the things our team does. We also work on like first party offers, which is basically Chase credit cards. Like if you like spend a lot with Chase, you would recommend them, for example, like higher tier credit cards.
Yeah.
So you can like earn more points, spend more with Chase. So it's more along the lines of like recommendation systems.
All right.
Yeah.
Man, that sounds dope, man. Do you have a Chase account?
Yeah, I do have a Chase
All
account.
right.
Yeah.
Lucky thing you do, man, because I was gonna be like, how are you doing all this for Chase and you yourself don't have, a Chase account, man? I'm like, but yeah, all right. That's good. That's good, man. Yeah, bro. But so now you're in San Fran, bro.
Yeah.
It seems to me like you go back and forth between, like Jersey. I mean, the East Coast and the West Coast. I mean,
Yeah.
have you come to a conclusion? Which side you actually like, man?
Yeah. So I think I'm still torn, and I'll tell you the reason I'm torn.
Okay.
At New Jersey, I have like a lot of my old, I guess, friends from high school that I still talk to and stuff.
Right.
And like, that support. My family's from there. They're still living there. So that's nice. And, I've made obviously new friends there as well. So I like living in New Jersey. But California is also nice because this is where it's, this is where it's happening. This is where all the new stuff is going on. And also like, nature here is like infinitely better than New Jersey can ever hope for. So I like visiting California for these like week-long I guess outings, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
Just to like explore and stuff. I don't know if I could see. I mean, again, I'm still like debating this myself, but I don't know if I could eventually find someone and move out here. And I think the only reason is because it's like really expensive.
It is.
Super expensive place to like raise a family and stuff.
Yes, sir.
And so that's why I always like prefer the East Coast, I guess.
Okay.
Not to say that New York isn't cheap at all. New York is also very expensive.
Yeah.
But I have my family and stuff, and so that helps.
I see. All right. So I mean, like, any next steps that you have in mind, perhaps like for your career, for life, or anything, man?
Yeah, there's a couple things. Like I think the one thing I didn't do particularly well at Case, and maybe even still now, is like personal development.
Personal development.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, and what I mean by personal development is like I said before, I was really focused on like doing as best a job as I could have at Case, and that sort of defined my my college experience. So you could see me on Saturday night, in KSL Public Library.
Yes, sir.
You're like the only one there at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my goodness, man.
In fact, I even slept there like many days.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
they let you sleep in there?
Yeah, they on the couch on the third floor couch.
Oh, man.
I was working, and then I got knocked out, and I just slept there the whole night. It was like my second apartment, bro.
Oh man, bruh.
But so and the good thing is, I was able to focus on my academics, and that helped me obviously, getting all these things. But what I missed out on, I guess, was personal development, setting healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
More so with just work in general and things I enjoy.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to work on that more recently.
Okay.
And so when I was in college, before college, I used to be fairly spiritual, fairly religious.
Yeah.
During my time at college, I sort of just dropped the ball completely on that. Was not involved in anything that and then sort of after school, I guess maybe because I was back home, I guess I don't know, I don't want to say I was forced into it, but the people there were more involved in that, so I naturally became more involved in that. I started playing tennis more, and just spending time on not doing work.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get better at doing that. I'm still not at a place where I am happy with my work-life balance. I guess the other thing is I'm also growing older and stuff.
Yes, sir. But I mean, you're only 26, yo.
Yeah, I'm 26, and eventually I would like to find someone,
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel you on that, man. But at your age, 26, you're a VP, man. You're literally on top of the world, man.
Yeah.
Sitting in San Francisco, look at a pool behind you, man. What else can a man ask for, man?
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, bro. So yeah, but I feel you though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually you do gotta settle down, man, and find someone, man. But any progress on that, on that front?
Nah, bro. I've actually gone on a couple dates.
Yeah.
Here, even out here in San Francisco and
For
stuff.
real,
Yeah,
man. How do they go, man?
I knew to be honest, I actually liked them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just the whole experience. Because actually, the first time I went on a date was in San Francisco.
Oh,
Yeah.
yo, so this city been like, bro, this place holds a special place in your heart,
Yeah,
man.
bro. So it was actually nice, but like things didn't work out, which is fine, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think I still need to, be more active in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, at home I sort of just like focus on work, focus on like my other extracurriculars, and then
Bro, that's hard to believe, man. Like, what woman, man, can resist your charm, man?
Yeah.
Like, what happened, man? Like, was it? You know how when people divorce, man, they
Yeah.
have it on the paper,
Right.
what do they call it? Irreconcilable differences.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
What was it, man? Like, I can't see how any woman can buy your charm, man.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Yeah, I think the reason is because it was distant. So like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, they were interested more in like staying out here, and I guess at the time I was like trying to like be in New York.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean I still like New York, but I guess I didn't. I don't know. Like, I guess the differences was that we would be in two different states, and that's always hard maintaining a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
It's never easy. So I think that was like the primary concern, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure what other things were. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I see, man. All right, man. And I've known you for quite some time now,
Yeah.
man. And in a lot of ways, bro, you hood, man. One of these days, I gotta present you, man, with a Thug Life chain, man, and officially induct you, man, into the brotherhood. You feel me?
I feel it.
I mean,
I'd love to be a part of it.
hell, you be pulling some gangster shit, like, bruh, like didn't you? What happened with the Google bike, man? That's what I want to know, man. Like, what happened? What's the story behind a Google bike, man?
Yeah. So what happened when I was here for my internship before after my junior year?
Yeah.
I had gone to visit the Google campus because I just wanted to see what it felt like to be in that environment. And I was with a friend at the time.
Yes, sir.
He also went to Case my year, and we were just touring around Google and stuff. I was eating at the Google like lunches and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was kind of getting late at night.
Yeah.
And my cheap ass didn't want to Uber back to my the place where I was living.
Yeah.
So I was like, why don't I just take this bike and just see how far I can get.
Right.
And so I thought, I would get stopped by like, some at the edge of the Google like campus, and
Yeah.
some security guard would be like, you can't take these anywhere. But yeah, so I just got on a bike and I just biked back home. And I just
man,
and I didn't think too much of it, bro. Like,
man, that's funny as hell. One of these days, you're probably gonna end up working for Google, man.
Yeah.
And they might have to deduct that from your salary, man. You feel me? But anyways, man,
Yeah.
anyone you want to give a shout out to, man, before we wrap this up?
Yeah. Actually, before we wrap this up, you did ask me a question about like what I would want to do like in the future and stuff. right?
Yeah.
I don't have a particularly like good idea, but I do have a direction of where I want to go, like at least like work-wise.
Yeah.
I think eventually I would like to go back to what I was doing at like my other like positions, meaning like back into the sort of like I guess a little bit of the biotech, but like more like computational like
Research.
more computational research.
Right.
I mean, I'm still doing that here, but like more on the side of like I guess biotech, and more specific like proteins and stuff, like nanoparticles and material science, basically.
Okay.
And I mean, I do have a goal of like, I've been thinking about like eventually I would like to start like some company like based around that
Yeah.
that sort of like thing. I think it's too early for that right now. But yeah, that's kind of like the direction I kind of like actively like thinking towards or like want to pursue.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. But anyways, yeah, I think people I want to shout out to. Shout out to my brother. Shout out to my mom.
Yes,
shout out to
sir.
my parents.
Yep.
Shout out to all my people back home in India.
Yeah.
Shout out to I don't know like the gang from Case, bro.
Yes,
Sylvester,
sir. Yes,
Emilio,
sir. Yes,
Fred, Sergio. You know a little bit. Yeah.
Sergio's still out here, man.
Yeah,
in LA.
yes. Yep. And so like that. Honestly, that group was like really like I guess.
Laid back, man.
Very, very laid back, but
Yes,
like
sir.
very chill, but like also like when they need to be serious, very serious.
Yes, sir.
Like you could get along with them like doing anything, and it was like, yeah. I think I still talk to like them on a regular basis. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Yo, man, I can't believe we finally, like, got around to doing this, man. Because last time when you actually passed through Vegas is when we should have done this, man. But, like, for some reason, man, it totally escaped me, man. So to finally, like, fly in here, bro, to San Fran, bro, this week, bro. Oh, yeah, I also want to give a shout out to you, man. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, this is my birthday month. Having me, man, come through, bro. Yesterday, man, was one of the best freaking days ever, man. All the stuff, man, man, that was beautiful, man. So I want to give a shout out to you, special, like thanks, my gratitude, man. And it's a wrap, yo, man. So thank you, yo.
yeah.
And remind me next time, bro, to present you your Negro chain.
I'm gonna put that in like one of those frames. I'm gonna frame that in my room, bro.
For real,
Yeah.
yo. So YouTube, man, it's a wrap.